Shalom. I want to start off source by giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakodash. Double honors to the Apostle Great Millstone, and honors to brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's raw name of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His raw name is Yahweh, and the Son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning down, Shah meaning names, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. It's a quick one, real quick. Just the brother was kind of just watching, this, which got this one here that's not at the top of your screen. Charleston White on Tyree Nichols committing murder, BLM drill music, right? And brothers have shared clips of this Charleston White guy. I'd seen the clips, but I'd never really looked into the individual himself. But basically, we paused it, and then we saw that there was actually another clip as well, right? There's the one that you see now at the top of your screen. Charleston White drops heat on feminists, right? And then when you see that one has 314,000 views. But the other one where it's just him, right, where he was actually speaking, very interesting things. Like I said, I've never really watched him like that. Obviously, he's, it's just an individual in the world, Of course, he's going to go off on certain things or whatever. But, watched like half of it. And it was very interesting, certain of the talking points, certain of the thought patterns as well, right? There was quite a bit of information that could have been garnered from the video with 139,000 views, but that's not the one. That's not the one that people are gonna pay attention to, right? Despite it being half as long. Right, because normally you see that long videos generally don't get a lot of views. As Jake's got a short attention span, as has been said many times before. Right, in fact, then they actually say that's why when you look at other YouTubers, a lot of their videos are like around 8 minutes or whatever, because 8 to 15 minutes is the ample, is that ample time. But once again, this goes to show you that if people want the information, right, people want to get something, they'll sit through and watch it, right? The same thing, you brothers, apostles on down, do long videos because there's a lot of edification in there. And if you really want the edification, hey, guess what? You're going to sit down and watch it, right? But yeah, like I said, I found that very interesting. The one, I haven't watched the top one, but hey, the top one, I've watched, that format before, and I personally, I don't like hearing women talk. Personally, I don't like it. The scriptures, say many things I want. Right, this is Sirach 42:12. It says, "Behold, not everybody's beauty, and sit not in the midst of women." Right, because when you got women gathered together, all they're gonna do is just talk shit, man. Right, talk out of their emotions, and as the accusation has been thrown at these guys before, they get in the same kind of woman. I ain't gonna give this a view or whatever, but you just kind of see there, you just got Sex in the City chicks, right? City hoes. That's all you got there, right? I mean, especially, what the hell is that? One at the top there. Only one of them is appears to be half decently dressed. The woman in the floral. I told you got Eve there with the pink ass hair, looking crazy as hell, right? You got that weird cracker bitch on the on the left, right? You ain't got there may be something to garner from there. I don't know, but certainly this one, like I said, this one here is the one at the top of your screen, Charleston White and Tyree Nichols. There was a lot of interesting things in the hour that I watched, but no views, right? But then that's in the precepts. Right, this is Ecclesiastes 10:6. It's fully sit in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. Right, so things of folly, right, are exalted in this place. Right, mirth, right, as we always get the precepts, Ezekiel 21:9, the sword is sharpened, and then it goes on to ask the question: should we then make mirth? And the answer is no. Right, there are actually important things that are better for your soul out there, but Jake is just Jake is just pays no attention to the things that are important, right? when it comes to things of knowledge, Jake don't want to know. Now, not saying I ever ain't ever watched. Now, not saying I ain't ever watched, these guys or whatever. I've watched them, but obviously, when I came watching it, we're able to filter these things through the precepts, right? Because the thing with a lot of these guys, especially on the red pill stuff, they'll be saying good things and then they'll just go hella left field with it, right? You look at Kevin Samuels, for example. He was able to, say a lot of very good things, but then he'll push you down the whole, yeah, you got to marry her, all of that crap. Okay, so we're able to look at these things through the lens of the scriptures and filter the crap. Okay, right, but once again, there's 314,000 people, right? The majority of them ain't ain't on anything, man. Right? Excluding the brothers that may have watched, any of these, whatever. Majority of the people that watch these clips ain't really on anything like that. Okay. And yeah, another thing that was very interesting, and in the conversation that Charleston was going into, was basically the pandemic of fatherlessness. Where he makes a really, really interesting point where he was saying, look, man, basically none of us grew up with our dads, but there was one kid, right? There was one kid who grew up with his dad, and then basically was saying, they'd be, causing trouble, on this street, on that street, but the street or near the house where this guy who had a dad was, nobody was misbehaving near this guy's house, right? Showing you the importance of having a man in the household. But that's why Esau took the man out the household, right? He did that on purpose because he knows scripture says whose heart is deep. Now let's get that real quick. It says Psalm 64:6, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, right? And always going into part of that diligent search is the what do you call it, is the the psychology, being able to search things out, looking at things, right? Understanding the ways of man, right? The Lord ultimately is the one that gave him this understanding, because it's all a part of, E taking power over the entire earth, right? This is the serpent all over again. We're literally living out this exact same story, right? The serpent went to the woman and then basically enticed the woman, right? Just like in the book of Genesis happened this time around. Enticed the woman, kept the man out the house, and then basically that gave Eve, free reign over the mind of the woman, right? It says both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep, right? So this man, he's deep, man. He goes into certain things, right? But once again, that wisdom is given him from the Lord, right? So he can't come out and pretend like he got it himself, right? Once again, that's why Esau took the man out of the house, because he knew the trouble it would cause, right? So this is Deuteronomy 28 and 54, because this was the result of it. Because once again, when these things happen, right, he can come and try and take credit. Yeah, look how I've destroyed these children of Israel. But ultimately, what we're witnessing is the curses that have been put upon our people. All right, so Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. And that's one of the things, apparently this Charleston White is constantly going on about. Is like, why y'all, hating on each other, right? Obviously, and once again, this is what we say, he's just a guy in the wild, right? He's the guy in the world that, he speaks on certain things. And yeah, when he speaks on the right thing, we're like, yeah. And when he goes off, we're like, just chill, stay in your lane, right? He tried to speak scriptures not too long ago with the whole Kyrie Irving thing, and it also was like, man, look, stay in your lane, man. So yeah, that's one of the things he speaks about, the fact that Jay just be killing Jay. And you will see, he was saying in this clip that how his where he called a murder charge when he was like 14 years old, which just goes to show just we threw him at, right? How are you 14 catching a murder charge, man? But it is what it is. He said he was 14 years old, called a murder charge, where basically killed a so-called white man, right? And one of the things Charleston said is he wanted to see, right? He wanted to see how it looked to watch the basically to watch a white man die. That's what he said. He said he wanted to see, a white man die, right? See the look on his face, right? So he was basically he was in a more right frame of mind, because he said growing up he just wanted to get revenge at Esau, right? But that's been completely, and once again that goes back to the enmity between thy seed and her seed spoken of in the book of Genesis, right? Because we weren't created to be equal with each other, to get along, right? We're natural born enemies, okay? Which is why Esau's anger is tearing perpetually against the children of Israel, okay? But right now, the anger that Israel has is for one another, right? So let me read this, because I've been quoting, but let me just read the precept, right? It says, so that the man that is tender, Deuteronomy 20:50, also that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. And that's what you see, right? These gangbangers just straight up killing each other, man. Right now, I don't really know a lot about the that whole drill stuff, but when you say a particular name, right, and the particular name is King Von, even I said, as someone that that doesn't really know about that life, man, that was a grimy ass nigga, man. That was a grimy ass nigga, right? A demonic ass nigga, right? And apparently Charleston says as well, says a good on him, good that he got taken out, man, right? The world is a better place with those individuals not in it. It says, and toward the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave. Right? Let's grab one more. I'm gonna have to find it, forget where it is. It was actually quite easy to find. So Deuteronomy 21:18 says, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, he will not hearken unto them. Now get this, because in a lot of this stuff that that Charleston was speaking about, and then when you see what's happening today, right? If this law, and the Apostle Tahar says this all the time, right? If this law that we're about to read was fulfilled, Jake wouldn't, this bad breed behavior, this degenerate nigger, you just gotta call it what it is, right? This niggerish behavior wouldn't be there, because these individuals are putting a stain on the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right, because on the one hand, we're son of the apostles on down, we're going out saying, hey, the so-called blacks, Native Hispanics, and Native Americans are the children of Israel, and then these heathen nations that hear us say this, switch on the TV, and then they're like, these people, right? It says, verse 19, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him unto the elders of his city and unto the gates of his place, and they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious, he will not obey our voice, he is a glutton and a drunkard, and all the men of his city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shall thou put away evil away so shall thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Right, and that's it. Because these young individuals now, they ain't got no fear, right? They just kind of do whatever the hell they want, because, for instance, this Charleston guy, he knew he was going to jail, right? And he could have got himself out of jail, because once again, he was 14, so he would have, he was explaining that he could have potentially got out in 4 years at age 18, right? However, he was indoctrinated, because the TV makes that whole gangsterism life look cool, right? Once again, Esau did that, and Esau's gonna have to pay. These niggas got to pay too, right? And once again, this is what I say. This is Charleston. I see what both say he's kind of cool, because, he was asked a question, which was basically trying to say, can we absolve these young niggas today, right? And he was like, nah, because yeah, of course they're influenced, but that doesn't excuse what they're doing, right? Just the same way the Most High, for instance, made Esau do all of these things, right? But guess what? Esau's the one that's gonna get punished, right? So I've hit the point that I wanted to make. Yeah, man. He said this one here, man. This had this was quite interesting of what I've watched of it, but no views despite it being half as long as the one above. This is actually kind of crazy, man. It's actually kind of crazy. You just like, the apostles have done the experiments themselves where they'll put woman in the title and that gets lots of views, right? But then the edifying videos gets hardly any views, right? Just because you got some, tarts in the pictures and all of that sort of shit. But yeah, as always, that was edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.